Hey everyone, I'm back with another tech tutorial. Today I wanted to introduce you to the library's Learn a Test database. Learn a Test offers practice tests, exercises, skill building courses, ebooks, and information that you need to achieve the results you want at school, at work, or in life. For this video, I want to focus on how teens can use this tool to improve their grades, prepare for upcoming college admissions tests, and begin their college search. So let's get started.
Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is go to the library's website, carrollcountylibrary.org, and then you're going to go to our databases tab. You're going to scroll down to the bottom, and on the left-hand side, you'll see Learn a Test, and we're just going to click on that. Okay, this is the main page for Learn a Test. You're going to go to sign in/register. I already have an account, but if you need to create yours, you're just going to go to register. It doesn't ask for your library card or any of that information. You just need your name and your email address and create a password. Okay, now once you're logged in, this is going to be essentially your home screen. It's called My Center. And as you start using Learn a Test, what you're going to see is any tests that you've worked on or started will show up here. Any tutorials that you've been looking at will be here. Any ebooks that you've downloaded to use will show up there. Computer courses, articles, flashcards, whole 9 yards. But to get started, let's look at the different centers on Learn a Test. So there is a career preparation center, a GED test prep center, a job and career accelerator, college admissions test preparation, school center, which has things for elementary school, middle school, and high school students, something for college students, adult core skills, and a computer skills center. Today, let's start by talking about the school center, and let's go to high school. Okay, now if you scroll down, you'll see all the different subjects that you're probably already studying in school. So there's mathematics, social studies, technology skills, English language arts, logic and reasoning, and science. And there are different categories within each. So first, let's talk about a practice. Let's go to vocabulary and spelling skills practice. And we're just going to start this. And basically, it's a practice test that you can take to sort of test your knowledge and see where you're at and how you're doing. This over here is just a description of what the test is like, and there are some directions. If you look at the right-hand side where it says test details, you can see the total number of questions on this pretest and then how long you have to answer them. So you have 250 minutes to answer 50 questions. You'll also see where it says choose your test mode. We have 2 options here. So the first is just a practice. And that just means that while there is a timer for that 250 minutes that you have, it's not going to be enforced. So you'll see the time ticking down, but it's not going to kick you off. If time runs out and you're still working, you can still finish it. And once you've scored your test, you can also get explanations for the answers as well. Now, the learner setting allows you to check your answers as you go, which I find very helpful. But for this, let's just use the practice test. Okay, and I'm just going to answer a few of them just so you can see what it's like. Okay, and I also want to point out as you go, you'll see as you answer that this option comes up here at the bottom that says flag this question for review. So if you're ever not sure, you can just click on that. And then once you're ready to score your test, it'll give you a little notification saying, hey, you said you weren't sure about this, come back and look at it. It's also telling me that I need to go back and check all the questions that I didn't even answer, but since this is just an example, let's go ahead and score it because I want you to see what the scoring looks like when you actually complete a test. My score is 5, which is not great, but considering I only answered 5 questions, I think I did pretty good. You'll see here they do a score breakdown for you. So all these different topics, there are 12 questions on antonyms, 12 questions on spelling, 14 questions on synonyms, 12 questions on vocabulary and context. And looks like all the ones I had were synonym questions. And I got them correct. So that's good. But because my score is so low, you'll see down here where it has recommendations for some ebooks that might help me study and prepare so I can do better. Now, if we go back to the high school center, we can look at a tutorial instead. So you'll see under some of the subjects, there's a tutorials option. Let's go ahead and click that. And let's do geometry. Okay, so tutorials are a little different than practice tests. So you're actually kind of learning as you go, and you'll see here in this description, it sort of gives you an idea of the different things that you're going to learn as you take this tutorial. You can start off by taking a pre-test, or you can just jump right in. And I'm going to start tutorial. So on the left-hand side, you'll see sort of a table of contents, I guess, of all of the different units and lessons within each one that you can select. So let's go ahead and skip to unit 5. Let's say I know everything I need to know about congruence, and I don't need that. So we can go to lesson 1. You get an introduction to start, and then you get some more information about different things. And as you go, you might see some questions. You'll see here there's a quiz section. So after this tutorial takes you through all this information, there is a little quiz so you can see how much you've learned or what you still are struggling to understand. The nice thing about Learn a Test is if you don't have enough time to devote to finishing a test, but you do want to come back to it later, you can just select this button right here and save where you're at. And then if we go back to My Center, sorry, let's try that again. If you go back to My Center, you'll see our vocabulary and spelling test that I completed is right here. And my geometry tutorial says in progress. So if I ever want to just come back and jump right back in where I left off, I can just click on that and I will pick right back up. Okay, so now let's take a look at college admissions test preparation. So if you need help getting ready for the ACT, for example, you can click on this. You'll see here that there are various prep tutorials, ebooks, and practice tests that you can take. Now, I do want to explain a little bit about the difference between the preparation tutorials and the practice tests. So it's kind of similar to what we saw at the school center. Once you click on the tutorial you want, instead of teaching you different things within a certain topic, it's just going to give you a basic idea of what taking the science ACT section is going to be like. So you'll get an idea of the different questions that are on there, what sort of things it's going to cover, and what you can expect the day of the test, really. But let's go back. Let's take a quick look at the ebooks. So you'll see here, this one is some flashcards that you can use. There's a power practice ebook and one about word games. And all you have to do is click download ebook, and it downloads it as an Acrobat file. Then you can just open it on your computer. But if we want to do a practice test, what we can do is just select one. And you'll see here that I have 4 different testing options, which is really nice, especially if you're like me and you need to practice multiple times before you're ready to actually take the test. You want to get a good idea of how good you are at taking the test, but you don't want to have to answer the same questions over and over and over again. So it's nice that it does have this variety. Okay, so again, once you click on the test, you're going to see all this information on the left about instructions and the test in general, but on the right, you'll see that we have 75 questions for this test and 45 minutes to answer them. And there is a different test mode that we didn't see as an option earlier. So a simulation means that essentially when you do it this way, it's going to act exactly like the ACT. So once time's up, time is up. You don't have any more time to answer questions. The test is over and your score is what your score is. So if you really want to get a good idea of how well you're going to do on the ACT, you want to click simulation. Okay, and you'll see here, this is your timer counting down. It starts with the instructions page, and then you just hit the next button to jump to your questions. And then you have a passage here on the left and your questions on the right. And again, you can always save it later and come back to it. Okay, so the last thing that I want to go over pretty quickly, if you go back to my center and you scroll down, there's a school finder dashboard. So if you are starting your search for a college, what you can do is use this, and it's a good way to start. So there's a quick match option, and then there's also an advanced school search. But for this, let's just do the quick match. You have the option to select a whole region where you'd like to go to school, or you can narrow it down by state. Let's say I'm interested in either a 2 or 4 year. Okay, you can also pick how selective schools you want to look at. So you'll see it talks about class rank, your GPA, SAT and ACT scores, and it also gives you an idea of how many applicants get accepted. But let's just go ahead and click them all. And you can also go ahead and select any majors that you might be interested in studying at college. That way you're only looking at schools that have the program that you're looking for. And you can select up to 5. Okay, so based on the criteria that I selected, there are 4 schools that might work for me. You can just go ahead and click on an individual school, and this will give you an idea of what that school is really like. So you get the application deadline up here, an idea of how much the tuition and fees are, and how many of their students are receiving financial aid. If you scroll down, there's a whole school profile. It gives you an idea of how many students go here, what kind of calendar system they operate under, how big the community the college is in is, information about student body, housing, the programs and services offered to students, and more. But if we keep scrolling, there's also a costs and financial aid section where you get more information about the tuition and the fees and the room and board and all of that good stuff. The admissions information. So It's always important to know if there's an application fee. Testing. This will give you an idea of how well their incoming freshmen have done on the ACT or the SAT. So you can kind of see where you stand in comparison with the people that they accept. There's also a comprehensive list of majors and programs that they offer. And then there's a section for athletics. So if you're interested in playing sports in college, that would be some good information for you as well. But if we go back, let's say you want to compare two different schools and just see what they're like next to each other. So they're both four-year colleges. EKU has a bigger faculty. The community size for Murray is smaller. The faculty to student ratio is about the same. You can compare the ACT scores that they're looking for and their tuition aid. So that's also a helpful tool. If you're trying to narrow it down between a couple of schools, you can do that. If you really like one school over the other, you can just go ahead and save that school. And then when you go back to your My Center page, try to do it twice. When you scroll back down to the school finder, you'll see that it's under your saved schools. And there it is. So you can always come back and reference it later.
Okay, so I know that was a pretty quick run through, but I just wanted to give you a brief introduction to LearnAtest so you could see the different kinds of things that are there and what you could use it for. And that's just what teens might find handy. There's also a ton of things on LearnAtest for adults as well. If you need any help getting it started, or if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call or send us an email. Thanks for watching.